Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
With almost 500,000 customers and over $1 trillion of secure payments, Bill isn't new to intelligent finance. It's the proven way to simplify bill pay and maximize cash flow. Want to learn more? Visit Bill.com/proven for a special offer.
Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
So we are continuing our Sister Wives coverage. This is season 18, episode 11, Air the Dirty Laundry. And I don't feel like we got that much dirty laundry. But we did learn that Meri, much like Ross on Friends, R.I.P. Matthew Perry, thought they were on a break.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of thoughts about Meri.
Oh,
and
yes.
Her perception of the world. But yeah, our leaders, Ace and Caitlin from the, what's it called? Love should be multiplied, not divided podcast.
Yes.
I was just listening earlier and Ace, tracked this and said that out of the 42-minute episode, there was only 10 minutes of new footage. That was not either a flashback or a confessional.
Oh my gosh.
10 minutes of new, like us seeing these people actually do something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was shocking, but not unbelievable, because But we get so excited. We see some new footage of Truley trying to ride a bike. And it's like, oh my God, we get so excited because we're not getting anything new because this family's not together anymore. Yeah. And they have to set up they have to go out. Christine has to travel to Flagstaff or her children all have to come to her house. They have to create that. Nothing's organic.
Yes.
Absolutely nothing.
Yes.
So,
and that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Because though I don't know, was anything really ever organic on the show?
Well, obviously it was a produced show and they set these things up. However, you got the sense that you were kind of seeing real life, spontaneous things happening in the moment. They had to have a reason to bring everyone together. Mm-hmm. But then once everyone was together, I felt like I saw things organically happening.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I don't know. None of this feels organic. It all feels staged.
Yes.
But one thing I did notice about this episode is that I feel like people are no longer tiptoeing.
Mm-hmm.
They're now just kind of coming out and saying, Kody, he's problematic. And, Madison's not sure if she even wants her kids to be around him.
Yes, I was like, ooh, that's some juicy stuff. And I also thought what was really interesting was when Meri was talking, when she was relaying the date with Kody, the anniversary. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was heart-wrenching. Yeah. I'm sorry. I just felt for Meri. But when she was talking about the date, she said something to Kody and Kody said something back to her like, well, do you mean like fake? like the fake relationship. And so it's obvious this
For
is
the
sort of
show.
for the show.
Yeah.
They're alluding to the fact that there are two levels of these relationships. There's the what is captured on camera, and then there's what is the reality. And I think before it was harder to see. And now it's very, very clear. Very clear. And I am really happy to see the liberation of Meri.
Well, she's not quite liberated.
I know she's getting there. And I think, you know what it is? I think that she really needed to hear those words from Kody's mouth, not from Robyn, not from anyone else. Like she needed to hear it from him that it's not going to happen. But the way he did it was so, I thought, if this is true, if she's repeating the words that he used, I thought very cool way to end a relationship with someone you've been married to for 30, how many years?
Well, it also is now obvious, as if it wasn't before, but now it's very obvious that Kody does not want to look bad, so he will never leave a wife. And Meri said that. She said, well, don't you think we should make some sort of an announcement if we're not really married? It's like, no, I don't want the bad press, basically.
Yes, that's, yeah.
And, and then the whole thing about how it came out that, 7 years ago or whatever it was, she asked him, I guess, to stop coming over to her house because she needed a break.
Yes.
He interpreted that, like, the Ross Rachel thing. He interpreted that as, he said, you kicked me out. And she said, no, I just wanted some time alone to think. And I think from that point on, because this is how fragile his ego is, that how dare you tell me not to come over to my house? And that's why he's so incensed with Christine, even though he didn't give a shit about Christine. She did kick him out, literally.
Yeah.
And that pisses him off. And that's why he's so angry. But he will never, that's why, he'll just continue to do this act with Meri and with Janelle as long as they'll tolerate it, I guess. But yeah, he's so narcissistic and so, worried about his own image that he will not give them just the respect and the common decency. Just let it go.
And that's what it is. That's what really just bugged me about, or just got under my skin about the situation with Meri is, let's push aside the show. Let's push aside everything. You have this long-term relationship with this woman. Like this person has been in your life for more than half your life. This is how you're going to go out. This is how you're going to end it. This is what you're going to say to her. And again, it was just, it was cruel. It was mean. And it was with no nothing. And I think he is so, I don't know if he's delusional or if the ego and the narcissism, just he can't see it. But what did you think was going to happen, Kody? Did you think that Meri was going to, I think he thought that Meri was going to sit on all of this in shame and never, ever tell the public what he really said, or that she would just do this in limbo thing with him forever.
Well, and she has done it for a very long time.
That's true. Maybe he thought she would just keep going. But I was like, you're telling us on one hand, you don't want the bad press, but what's stopping her? Well, she does. She says that, actually. I'm sorry. That's right. She does say it, because at the end, she says something about, should we make this announcement? And he says, no, we don't need to. And she's just, I think he assumed that she would go along with it. And again, the ego of someone feeling like this person wants the public to know that they're with me. So that's enough for her. Idea that just simply being married, spiritually married to Kody Brown is enough.
Well, also
just being able to have that title.
Yeah. Also, here's the thing. This is what happens, I think, even though Meri is like a 50-year-old woman, at this point, this is the thing that happens when it's like arrested development. She never dated. She basically married the first person who she, seriously dated. They didn't date it was 6 months from the time they first started courting until they got married. She's never been in a relationship with anybody but him. She doesn't understand relationships. Like at one point, she was saying, what did I wrote that down? She was basically saying, I can't believe that this man told me, you know, I will love you. I love you. I'm going to love you forever. We're going to be together forever. And like, so he said that to me. So how can he now be saying that that's not true? And it's like, Meri, well, hello, like, welcome to the party. I can't tell you how many times a man's done that to me. Like, it happens all the time.
Yes.
Okay. And if you actually dated and were in relationships and you would know men say that stuff and they still leave.
Yes.
And women do too. But she just seems so bewildered by this.
Yeah.
Like, how could someone say that? And she thinks that just because, you know, at one point, 20, 30 years ago, Kody said, I'm going to love you forever and we're going to be together forever, that means anything.
Well, but he's coming at it. He has the same in many ways, but it's a little bit different. But he has that same attitude too, where now he's saying to her, I never loved you. You know, I never. And it's like, no,
come
on.
It was like pretending
pretending this whole time. And it's like, well, so why do you have to be so black and white with it?
Right.
Like, it's sort of like,
that's bullshit too. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Listen, we saw, and they replayed that. They replayed that.
Their
scene
little
where
sexy
their little
looks.
sexy moments there. And then all of a sudden the camera pans and there's Leon. But yeah, we saw the two of you. We could tell there was something there, that you did like her and that you were attracted to her and that you did have a connection with her. So why is it that now you have to say you have no relationship?
Yeah, you never liked her.
Honestly, it's kind of like two middle schoolers dating.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and I've been reading more and more as I go online about Kody, and apparently that this, we may or may not have talked about this, that, you know, maybe during the Vegas days where that he and Robyn would, this is why she needed nannies, that she and Robyn would lock themselves away in a bedroom like for hours for intimacy time. And it was almost kind of like Kody finally had this opportunity to kind of have the typical frat boy college, like, you know, having these experiences. And it's so bizarre that he's still sort of stuck in many ways in this like high school infatuation, like, ooh, this woman, she's so wonderful. And we're doing all this stuff and we're so attracted to each other. And he doesn't quite understand that, yeah, you can also tell Meri that you love her, that you did love her. I mean, Kody, you're going against everything that you told us. You told us love should be multiplied, not divided. Not divided. But apparently, according to you, you cannot love more than one person at a time.
Well, and and again, because he never got to have that experience either. You know, he got married young, and then all of a sudden he had all these wives, and also, and you know, he said the exact same thing to Christine. Well, I was never attracted to you. I never really loved you. And and that's what makes it so juvenile. It's like, okay, so something doesn't work out. So you go, well, I liked you anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Which is just what you do in middle school. Like it's not even high school.
Right.
Not even high school. Yeah.
But yeah. And I don't, anyway, so I kind of start to get into like how that how culture is so misogynistic and all of that kind of stuff about how Kody's been allowed to, in many ways, right? He's been allowed to have these experiences with Robyn. He's been allowed to fall in love. He's been allowed to. And by him not saying anything to Meri, he is holding on to her so tightly and not allowing her to go and really have her own love, her own life. Like, you would think that if you really if you cared about this person, that you would think to yourself, I care enough about you that I don't want to hurt you. And I want to see you happy. It's like, he cannot see other people happy.
Well, and also he's desperately holding on, and it starts to crack towards the end of this episode, but he's desperately holding on to trying to make this polygamy thing work, trying not to look like a fool, trying not to be embarrassed about the failure of it all. But toward the end of the episode, he kind of, I think, I don't know if he's really serious, but starts to say, well, you know, maybe I was unrealistic. Well, maybe I was unrealistic about us all living together.
But I felt like he was saying it was unrealistic that of the dream of everybody being in one house on the property.
Yeah, but that's all part of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that they would ever be able to get to that point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so much there.
Yes.
But we start out the episode in Utah at Christine's house. And Mykelti has some news. I guess Isabel's the last to know that she's pregnant. So she says, "Oh, hey, Isabel, by the way, I'm pregnant."
Yes.
Then she tells everyone that no one else knows this, I guess, that she's having twins.
Woohoo!
And
Yes, Christine's very excited.
she's very excited. And of course, they're all self-filming this, like,
Yeah.
on someone's iPhone. I guess production won't go to Utah.
Well, they also won't go to Robyn's house too, or something, because that seemed like that was being filmed
Yeah.
by someone.
Do they
else.
go anywhere?
No, maybe
No,
that
film it
Meri had
at
to lift
Salsa
up
Brava.
a phone.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Meri?
will go. They will do confessionals, and they'll go to Salsa Brava.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That is it. Everyone else is on their own,
Yes.
like literally on an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
But I also heard something on one of the socials that Mykelti didn't know that this was going to be used on the show. I think she probably barely knew it was being recorded, because it's just a little iPhone over here in the corner.
Yeah, but they lifted up the sonogram and showed. I
Right.
mean, they lifted that, so she had to know it's being recorded.
She knew it was being recorded. She claims now she did not know that it was being recorded for the show.
Oh.
And that it was going to be used on the show. And it brought up how, her birth was
Yes.
on the show, and all these, she kind of brought up this kind of troubling concept of
Mm-hmm.
how these kids they're not even kids, they're grown adults, they're their parents, that they get used for the show. And I mean, do you think they're getting paid an appearance fee now?
I don't
Mykelti
know.
and Tony and
Oh gosh.
Hayden.
I have
and
no
all these
idea.
people?
But isn't this more of a Christine issue? Because shouldn't Christine say to them, "Hey, I'm filming this for
absolutely.
the show"? So
Right.
if she thought that camera, because I would assume if I was in this family and I saw an iPhone set up on a
Right.
tripod, I would be, okay, this is being filmed. This could potentially be on the show.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Mykelti seems to say a lot of different things. I mean, I'm wondering about Mykelti here, because she has, that whole thing of like, she claims she started the text chain, and it's like, no, Aspen started it. It's like, again, it's these little things, people always think that people lie about big things, and they do, but there are people that lie about little things.
Yeah. She is. She's kind of a shit stirrer. I don't know.
Yeah. So that was the other thing too, is like, you're in this family. You don't put two and two together and assume that. But I wonder if, I mean, they are all adults, and they could turn to the parent and say, "I'm not going to appear on camera anymore unless I get paid," or something.
Yeah. And you'd think that they would have had to sign something for the production company to use that footage.
Well, as we know, this is TLC, and they also did the Duggar thing. And that, the Duggars, as we know, and we're learning more and more, Jim Bob just stole all those kids' money. And, he made something like, they totaled it all up. He made like $8 million from the show and from everything that they got. So TLC really, their history of protecting people and turning to the person at 18 and going, "Hi, this is Bob from the legal department at Discovery, whatever. You're now 18. We need for you to sign a contract. This is how it works. This is scale," right? They're not doing that. They're just as terrible as the rest of these people.
Yeah, true.
So anyway,
true.
But I guess Tony's very freaked out about the twins. It seems like
that would be scary.
Yeah.
It's a lot riskier. And in fact, the midwife said, I can't deliver these babies.
Yes.
You have to do it in a hospital. It's too high risk. And then Christine goes into this whole talk about, the secrecy involved with polygamists and why they always would go to midwives because they don't want to go to the hospital because they're mandated reporters and they might like call CPS and polygamy is illegal. And so, that whole secretive kind of thing.
Yeah. But then
she even said something about the birth certificates. She said sometimes the father's not even on the birth certificate. And then I think they cut to Janelle saying, "Well, Kody's on all my children's birth certificates." And I'm thinking, is he?
Why would you think you don't think she's being honest about that?
I don't know. I mean, I really feel like he's not on any of Christine's kids' birth certificates, because Christine was, prior to the show, she was on food stamps and public assistance, and her kids all had Medi-Cal. So, yeah, I don't think he was.
Well, maybe Janelle's kids were all under him because she had the job and the health insurance, and they could cover her, and if he was her partner.
But I don't even know if she did have insurance all the time, because Maddie had to have a emergency appendectomy, and they had no insurance.
Yeah.
They talked about how that medical debt, like, really, I think they ended up filing bankruptcy partially because, so I don't know. I don't believe anything they say. When it comes to like this kind of stuff, I think they're still.
You feel like they're still skirting around issues.
I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because they've buried themselves in such a deep hole, because they, what they came on TV around the time of the whole Warren Jeffs thing. And the idea was that they wanted to show polygamy and they wanted to get away from that idea of Warren Jeffs. And they presented themselves as such, that's just what happens when you present.
Clean. Yeah.
This is what happens when you present yourself as just one thing. If they had been a bit more honest about, the troubles with this and the issues with that and all of this, then maybe this would all be different. But it's just the fact that they really, you kind of lied to all of us for a long, long time. I mean, Christine was honest about her vulnerabilities and the worries and the fears, but they were never honest with us about the money and the other things. And the fact that she was on assistance, like that would be good to know. Like that is a factor, to think about with polygamy. I mean, this is one of the issues. And so let's talk about it.
That's why it's illegal, because there's abuses that occur around it. And that's one of them. And now that Christine's out of it and she's, she doesn't care anymore. So I would believe her over Janelle.
Yeah. Well, so then we get this poor Meri. I didn't know if she was in Flagstaff or if she was back in,
she was in Parowan because they showed a sign like, welcome to Parowan.
Oh, okay.
In the town.
I know. That's the thing. Again, I'm taking notes and then I look down and I
know. If you look down, you miss important clues. Yes.
So, she said that she didn't know what to expect. And again, this is her, like I mean, we've been watching all this. He does not contact her on her birthdays, but she was holding out hope that Kody would contact her. Midway through the day, she calls him and says, "Hey, happy anniversary." And he's like, "Oh,
like, why are you calling me?
Why are you calling?" Yeah. "Oh, a happy anniversary." And then she's like, "Well, are we going to do anything?" And he's like, yeah, let me ask Robyn.
Yeah. He's like, I'm watching the kids right now.
Which is a
lie, of course. Let me ask Robyn. And he admits, he said he needed some time to think. He needed to come up with an excuse.
Yeah. But he turned to Robyn and said something to her. And then Robyn, of course, because she's got to keep her agenda, was like, go, 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 go. And then they go. And it's everything that we just said about how they feel like, they've been faking it. And then Kody had a few steps here. He said, "Oh, it's our anniversary. It's her." He almost said her anniversary. He's like, "No, our anniversary." And the other misstep was around, but we're not Meri. But we're not, what did he call it?
And then he said,
married.
We're not living as a married couple or functioning as a married couple, something like that. And then he went into his mean talk and said, "I have no desire to have a relationship with you. Your life is not one that I want to insert myself in."
That I thought was, and I obviously that got to Meri too, because that was, oof.
That's harsh.
That was very, very harsh. I wrote it down. "I have no desire to have a relationship with you." And then there was one other sentence, "and your life is not one that I want to insert myself into." And then again, that's when Meri goes into her whole thing. But you promised. but you promised me. You promised that this is what we would do for the rest of
be
our lives.
Together forever.
Yeah.
Like you used to write on your notebook.
Together forever. M and K.
Yes.
M plus K. Together forever.
Forever. Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
With a little heart around it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Back in sixth grade.
So that's why I was like, why did you have to say to her, your life is not one I want to be a part of? Like,
so mean.
Why can't you just say, Meri, I love you. I love you.
Over.
It's over.
It's over.
I don't know how else to tell you this. It's over. And kindly tell her that he loves her, but he's not in love with her anymore. Like, lie. I mean, even if you didn't feel this way, Kody, lie to her. Like,
let her down easy.
Sometimes lying is a good thing. And this would be one of those times where you just be nice. Just be a nice person. This is, you have a child together, right? Like, you be respectful. It's respect.
Right.
So mean. I was like, oh.
He is very mean.
Yes. So now we're back to, we will go back to, the Mykelti stuff, and then we get the whole home birth, and then of course, we see the first birth, Avalon's birth. Ooh,
that looked traumatic. Yeah. And then we find out that Dr. Bean, who delivered Truly, is going to be delivering Mykelti's twins.
Yes, very exciting. But I thought that Dr. Bean was in, what was the first? Lehigh.
Lehigh, but that's not far from Salt Lake City.
Oh, Lehigh's not that far from Salt Lake?
I don't think so, but
okay.
I would imagine that do Tony and Mykelti live in Salt Lake? Or do they live in St. George? I don't know. I can't keep track, but I'm sure he's conveniently located. So that obviously it's going to work out.
And then what's the next? The next scene is Robyn's house.
Yeah, the birthday party. Yes. God, this looks like a fun party.
Oh God,
it's
Truly's like torture.
Yeah, Truly's turning 12, and so Kody and Robyn are throwing this party for her, and Isabel is there, and it's so awkward. Like Isabel and Brianna are just like won't even look at each other. They're just kind of standing there looking miserable. Yeah.
But Robyn is just so happy to have a party. She's just so happy to have any kind of connection.
Right.
And, she feels very connected to Truly because Truly does not have any memories without Robyn and her kids. Yeah. But God, I was just, it was, as Kody said, there was a gloomy cloud. And I'm like, there was a gloomy cloud. And then this is what he said. I didn't quite understand if he was talking about himself or the kids, where he's talking about, there's this undertone of, do I trust? Can I trust? And are you talking about like, is this what you think your kids are thinking about you? Or is this what you're thinking about your children?
I don't know. I wonder the same thing because he said from my kids, do I trust? Can I trust from my kids? Of course, it's Kody, so I feel like it all comes back to him. So I feel like he is saying, can I trust my kids? Because he's probably thinking, well, Christine's trash talking me to Isabel and probably Truly. And, so can I trust what they say or their intentions? It's all about him.
Yeah.
I mean, what...
Yeah. So this is quite diabolical. You really think that Truly's got an agenda, or even Isabel? Like either of these two have some agenda of like, lying to Kody or telling Kody some things, or if Kody like actually, says anything to them, they're going to take that and run right back to their mothers. It's crazy.
Isabel's already seen his true colors.
Yes, when she says it.
Yeah, when he wouldn't. Yeah, she said that as much. She's basically like, I'm not really...
never had 100% great relationship with him.
Right. And then he didn't go to her surgery. And that was kind of like the nail in the coffin. So, she's just being polite. And she's just there because I think at this point, she's still living in North Carolina with Maddie and Caleb. So she's home. So she's like, okay, I'm here. I'll go. She doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
She really doesn't. And Truly, I don't know. Truly still seems young and innocent. But, God, Truly's been through
A lot.
like we saw again, the bike riding.
Oh
thing.
God.
She knows her dad's true colors as well. She's not,
Mhm.
even
She
though
didn't go back to her dad to ask him to help her ride a bike again, did she?
No, she's all this whole time she's been scarred by that
Yes.
until now.
So this is where Kody talked about, I wonder if some of the failures in plural marriage were expecting too much from everyone living under the same roof. That's what I wrote down.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
So, and he says divorce is painful and there seems to be a mild strain. Okay, that's putting it lightly. So he's kind of, sort of admitting that, this is really bad.
Yeah.
Is he taking any responsibility for it? No. But
no. Well, he does admit, because they go back to the family mission statement. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. So, we see the commitment ceremony.
So he goes into this whole thing about how he's trying to redefine his life. And, they're too embarrassed to he'd be so embarrassed to go to church in Utah because of, how they're perceived and the shame. And, he feels like we're in limbo. I'm not a fit of my old religion. And we go into this whole thing. And so, but this seems to contradict the Meri stuff, right? So you're saying that you're upset because he's upset because people aren't still staying with the rules and doing what he wants them to do. And here you've got Meri who's willing to kind of go along with it. But, oh, no, not you, Meri. Oh, no, like everybody but you. I mean, that's really what it is.
Well, but I think what hurts him most, I don't think he really cares about, Janelle. Not Janelle. Janelle too. I don't think he really cares about Christine or Janelle leaving. What he is most upset about is that he has no relationship with most of his kids, and he blames that on their mothers.
Yes,
but he does. But he does. He still has not gotten the point that it's not because of the mothers. It's because of how you treat them, Kody, and. He's still not there yet. But yeah, I think that's what he's most upset about.
Yeah. And the fact that I think that he would prefer all of his relationships to end, if they do end on his terms, or they fake it through where they do that.
Right.
But, yeah. So, but this is when it comes up about how Kody hasn't heard from Maddie at all. And so he first blames the divorce. He's like, I haven't talked to her at all during the divorce. And, but it also might be COVID. He's not sure. He's not quite sure why Maddie isn't speaking to him. And I'm like, can't you put two and two together? Like beyond, not Christina and the divorce, but like Maddie's very close to her brothers. Like you have this thing with my two brothers
and the way he was treating Janelle.
Yeah.
Through the COVID too.
And so I don't know, that alone would make me, rethink my relationship if Maddie's put in this tough spot where, right? Like she cares about her mother. She cares about her siblings, who do you side with? And Kody, you make everybody take sides. Right. That's the problem. Right. I will say, you make everyone take sides. If she felt like she could call you and have a decent conversation with you, she wouldn't be feeling this way. She wouldn't have done that. But you forced everybody's hand to take a side.
And here's what I think is interesting. Kody uses this language with all of the kids. He says, Maddie stopped reaching out to me. He always uses the word reaching out, which makes me think that Kody simply doesn't talk to his kids unless they contact him.
Yes.
Because he doesn't say anything like, well, I've tried to, talk to her. I've tried to call her and, she doesn't want to talk to me. It's always like, she stopped reaching out to me. Well, maybe part of the reason why she stopped reaching out to you is because you were not reaching out to her at all. And she's hearing all of this stuff about other family members and whatever. And she doesn't even hear from you.
Yeah.
You act, and that's the thing. Like, if your parents don't call you or kids don't call you, whatever, you start to think they don't care.
Mhm.
They don't care how I'm doing. They don't know what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. They don't know what's going on in my life, and they don't care to find out.
Mhm.
You know, if you really like, you know, if you really want to be in someone's life, I don't care if you live across the country, you know, you'll call, you'll text, you'll
Mhm.
keep in touch. And it's like, he just won't do that.
No. He obviously puts all of the responsibility
Mhm.
on everybody else to reach out to him because he's the king and he can't possibly be bothered
Right.
to like think to himself, oh, I haven't talked to Garrison in a while, or I haven't talked to
Yeah.
Maddie in a while. Let me reach out to them. And yeah, I mean, it's such this weird kind of like antiquated way of seeing your relationships with adult kids, this sort of like idea that it has to be one way. And yeah, he is stuck in limbo because he doesn't seem to understand what anything is, like
No.
how to be a parent to adult children. He does not know how to do that. And he
Not
doesn't
at
know
all.
he doesn't know how to have relationships with women that he once had a relationship with. That's the other thing too.
Mhm.
This is the other thing is that these people, because they didn't really date, they haven't had the awkward thing of like, oh crap, there's Bob from The Office again, you know,
Mhm.
and I went out
Right.
with him a couple times and now we got to meet each other in the
Yeah,
elevator.
now we got to
or
make
whatever.
small talk. and-
Yeah. I mean, they've
Yeah.
never had that. He doesn't know how to do that either, of like being civil to Christine.
Right. And Janelle calls him out on that. She said that Maddie doesn't call him because of his behavior,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that, you know, Maddie doesn't know who Kody is anymore. And it's not just about one thing. It's about a lot of things. You know, she has a lot to balance and a lot to think about.
Well, it's thinking about her children.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other part of it too. And I don't blame her, which is I am not going to introduce my children. This is your grandfather, and then have you treat them
You're right.
the way you've treated all of us. And she can see very, you know, clearly when her children become adults, like what's going to happen then? Like when they're not little ones and they're not cute,
They're not
they don't
cute. Yeah.
they don't follow everything you say. What are you going to do? So how do I trust you?
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is incredibly telling. And then this is where Robyn, because I've many times sadly defended Robyn at various points. And I've said, I don't think she's diabolic. Like, I just don't think she's smart enough to be such an evil genius. But this one killed me. It was like, she talks about how her kids really miss their siblings. And she's like, God, there's this weird wall and we can't penetrate this wall. And I don't know why it's there. And I'm thinking to myself, weren't you the one that said
put up the wall?
Put up the wall and said you didn't want to do the holidays and you were yanking your kids out of it? Like, what are you talking about?
And you told your kids that the rest of the family was, you know, didn't like them or was mad at them or whatever. I mean, are you kidding me?
So is the weird wall someone saying, hey, Robyn, we don't really want to do this on Zoom? That was the wall?
Yeah,
because
that
you
was
bailed.
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what? That's the part that it's like, are you this delusional? Are you, huh?
Apparently.
But I don't know. I don't know what Kody and Robyn think. I don't know if they think that we don't catch these things are happening. They really do think we're dumb.
They do.
They must think we're incredibly, incredibly stupid people.
Yeah. Why would they say these ridiculous things over and over and over?
Yeah. That was just like, oh God. Yeah. Anyway, then we get Janelle and Gabe. They like to garden. That was new footage.
Yeah, that was part of the 10 minutes of new footage. That was probably about a minute, maybe a minute and 20 seconds. I don't know.
For her birthday, her kids built her some planter boxes at Garrison's, which is very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And so that she can have, because she lives in a teeny tiny little apartment,
Mm-hmm.
you know, she doesn't have a garden. So this is Garrison allowing her gardening.
That's very sweet. It is very sweet.
And the whole thing with Gabe and how Gabe, you know, he's her little gardener and yeah. And we also learn that Gwen isn't moving in.
No.
That's a big no. So I wonder
probably
what
for the
happened.
best.
Yes.
She probably realized that, you know, she didn't want to have late night, arguments about
Oh God.
politics or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever Christine said. They're very different politically.
Yeah. And so who said this, that none of Janelle's kids talk to dad? They don't see the point. Did Janelle say that none of my kids are talking to him because they don't see the point? Or was that Gabe?
I'm not
I can't
sure.
remember who said that.
Yeah, but it's true. And, the only one who's left there is Savannah. And we all know he doesn't talk to her.
Yeah. No, he does not.
Yeah. And it's like, and then Kody, I think, he has this philosophy. This is Cody's philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Once you turn 18, if you can't respect me in my home, this is my home, not your home, you have to leave and get your own home. Wow.
Okay. Well, so, and then what, Kody? Because I do understand that.
Is that worth losing your relationship with your child over?
But I can understand that if you have an adult child and they're in your home and you're struggling and there's problems and this isn't working out, and you say to your kid, you know what, it's time for you to go. You're, whatever age, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go, it's time for you to go. But that also doesn't mean that you never stop speaking to them.
Right.
It just means that they're living somewhere else. And you're, this is part of having a kid, is like launching them. But it's either live with him forever or stay with him forever and follow every single one of his rules. Be respectful and worship him, or you're out the door. And it's just like, oh God,
again, it's so everything is so black and white.
Yes. There's no in between. There's
no
nothing.
nuance. Yeah. And then Janelle says that, Christine, was it Christine or Janelle? I think Christine said that basically Kody is getting back from his kids exactly what he's put into the relationship.
Yep.
Which is nothing. So he's getting back nothing. And then he wonders why.
Yeah.
Wonders why.
We learned that Janelle hasn't spoken to Robyn or Meri since the infamous conversation on Robyn's porch, which is, this was one of my favorite flashbacks.
Where Kody has a meltdown about, you don't know what I've been through.
18 months persecuted.
Then he's like, I almost died from COVID.
You don't care, and I mean, he starts to go into this thing, and Janelle's just like, she takes a deep sigh. He's like, you don't care about my pain, because like, I did not get vaccinated, and I got COVID, and it was really bad.
Oh God.
And then the best is like Janelle walks off, and you just got to go pick up Savannah or whatever, and it's just, oh my God. Those are my favorite Kody rants, are the knife in the kidneys and the just yes, Kody, you have been persecuted.
Yeah. And then there's so I think the subject of paying off Coyote Pass comes up.
Yeah, Janelle's talking about how like she and Robyn never connected as a friend. She said personality. This is how she phrased it: personality issues with Meri. But that she would like to have a greenhouse eventually on the property. So
but she's wondering if it's going to get paid off, if they're going to lose it. They only have a year to pay it off. And, basically, Kody says something like, Janelle's always complaining about Coyote Pass and
pestering me,
but she's not willing to help or do anything about it, which kind of means like, she's not willing to give you all her money to pay it off.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't even know she has any because you guys took it all, and why should she be responsible for paying off Coyote Pass?
Yeah. Didn't you all, when you purchased or got into this agreement with Coyote Pass, didn't you all like think or lay out and think about how are we going to pay this off and who's going to pay what?
I don't think they did.
Well, but I think what happened was that I think that all of maybe the TLC money that they all earn together gets, Kody gets that. And then that money, I think that's what she's pestering about. That money was probably earmarked for Coyote Pass, but that money is being used to support Robyn and her children and all of that. And that's really what she's talking about is, I know that you're not using this money this way. Come on.
Yeah.
I was just like, she's not willing to help. It's like, no, if she's already
No.
given you what she's agreed to give you, it's like, no, you need to complete the transaction.
Yeah, she gave you all of her money to put down on Robyn's house.
Mm-hmm.
And, everyone has a house but her.
Yes.
So why should she now have to come out of pocket again to help pay this thing off? No, they had no plan. They had no plan they were going to pay it off. It's just ridiculous. I couldn't believe he said that.
Well, he's like, Robyn and I are still going to build there.
Right.
I'm like, great. You know what? Build some giant house that you can't afford. You and Robyn and her kids and maybe Truley will come and see you. But and Mykelti.
I doubt it.
Yeah. So Janelle I think this was kind of an interesting thing that she said was, I don't recognize the people who were once part of my family. Their priorities and thought processes are out of whack or I can't remember the phrasing.
She just says she doesn't understand their priorities and thought processes.
And I was like, okay, so is this alluding to Kody and what's going on with him and what's in that? Or is there something more?
No, I think it's
what
just
priority.
It's just Kody and Robyn. Yeah.
I was just trying to see if there's something deeper in that, but maybe not.
No.
Janelle never gives up the juice. She just,
she's tight with it.
Yeah. So now we go back to Salt Lake City and we truly got a bike for her birthday, but she doesn't know how to ride because her first attempt was bad.
Flashback to the traumatic experience where Kody tried to teach her to ride a bike and that went very badly. And so she still doesn't know how to ride a bike.
Yeah. Well, Kody then gets on there and he says, as a parent, sometimes you need to push. And it's like, you know what? Yes, Kody, sometimes as a parent, you need to push your child. But if you push your child with no trust and no, I'm right here behind you, because you saw very clearly, Christine was coaching Truly, let's summarize. You did really well today. It went well. You did this well. Right? Yeah, you can push your kids, but you don't push them off over an edge of, no, you can't push anybody. I don't think Kody knows how to manage people. I don't know if he's ever managed anybody, because he really does not have these good skills of thinking through a little bit about how do you work with someone?
No, he's always trying to just, push a river, just try to make things happen. But, but I liked this because I think even though Christine was being more supportive, I felt like it was still a lot. You've got all these people there and they're all looking at her and saying things in the camera and saying stuff to her. And it's a lot of voices. And finally, Mitch, the voice of reason, steps in and he says, Truly needs less voices. And it's like, yes, everybody stop talking. We don't need 20 people weighing in on this. And then he, quietly and calmly, because that's just his demeanor, helped her. And then that's when she really kind of started to relax and make some progress. But, it's still a work in progress. But at least it didn't end badly. It ended with her. And then Christine said something kind of dumb. She said, because Truly said something about how she was afraid of falling. And Christine's like, well, you will fall.
But I feel like she said it to the camera. She said it in the confessional.
Oh, I don't know if she said it.
Did she say it? Oh, she did? Oh.
I thought she said to it and then Truly's like, okay, I'm done for today. And it's going to be at least 5 days before I can do this again.
Oh, I thought she meant 5. It was going to take her 5 days to learn how to ride a bike and maybe more.
Oh,
and most likely more.
I thought she was saying that she needed a break for 5 days, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
But then we get Christine. She talks about what she's right about, which is, this is very obvious. And it really shows how much happier Christine is that she truly has this great support system here, that she's got Aspen and Mitch and, Isabel's visiting and Peyton and, all these people that love and care about her. And you're like, Christine, you're right. That was a good, smart, it was good. It is a lot better for her. And now she's got, you know what? We don't have to worry about any of this. David Woolley Brown is going to teach her how to ride a bike.
Oh, I'm sure he's already taught her. He probably had the patience of Job and he just taught her probably in a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're biking around all over Utah together.
That's right. Like they're matching Star Wars helmets or whatever they have.
Oh, so then we go back to, the Meri and Kody stuff. Oh, God.
Yeah. I think we already talked about this.
The whole forever.
He said he was going to love her forever, blah, blah, blah. Kody tried to say I didn't really mean it. I was just saying that to appease you. Yeah, we covered all this.
Yeah. Well, and then this was the other thing you said to her. Stick around if you want. You can visit me and Robyn and the kids if you want, but we're never going to have a marriage relationship anymore. I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah. I mean, God, Meri.
And then Meri says, this is where she said, I wanted to be open and honest about the relationship, but Kody doesn't want that. And she's like, but this is my story too. And I was like, good for you, Meri. Yes, this is your story too. You go. She's not hiding anymore.
But then at the end of all this, she says, but I still don't know what to do about it.
I know. Well, she sort of went into that whole thing of like, I have two choices. And this is how I wrote it down. Number one, stay and suffer. Or two, leave it and go against this covenant. Basically, it's either she and so I do understand if you're
no longer a covenant. Like you can't have a one-sided covenant. Like the other person has severed it.
But I think that this religious stuff, they just beat you down with this idea. I think she really worries that she might burn in hell or something.
Well, then you know what? If she thinks that, she's really not a bad bitch boss, whatever that she thinks she is.
She's not the independent woman.
No, because that those two things that she said are complete opposites. Mm-hmm. So no, Meri, you're not a badass boss bitch or whatever you want to call yourself.
I hate all that boss babe stuff.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy.
It's like you're really quite pathetic at this point. Stop. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's true, Tess. It's true.
I know. I'm always the person that likes the underdog. I'm always like rooting for the underdog. So if Meri was on top, I would hate her right now. But like, oh my, oh no,
I know,
Meri.
but this isn't good for her.
No, you're right.
She needs to cut the cord and move on with her life. You're not, until you can do that, you're not a badass bitch, Meri. I'm just sorry to tell you, you're not. Period.
Well, I think that Meri is, I think that Meri sees herself that way because I think she's done hell of a lot more stuff than I think she ever thought she would ever do by herself and on her own. And I think she feels a lot of pride in that. But yeah, it's pathetic. I mean, it's hard to watch and it's pathetic, but I'm not inside her head.
I'm over it. I'm done watching it. If this continues, I'm just going to start fast forwarding through that. Cause literally I've said it all. I have nothing left to say about it.
Mention it all.
So next time on Sister Wives,
yes,
Christine's 50th birthday party. Mm-hmm. They have like a 50s themed party. And she says she loves being single, but she is dating a bit.
Ooh.
So maybe we'll get some details.
Yes.
Then Kody wants to come over to see Janelle's new apartment. I guess she got a slightly nicer student apartment.
Oh, God.
And she says she just doesn't see him in the equation.
Yeah.
And Kody says, it's obvious I'm never going to live here. I'm not welcome here. It's like, no kidding.
But even the way he walked into the apartment, did you notice that he kind of like walks in with like looking around like
what is
what
this?
You're
going to live here?
Yeah. What? You can't buy her a plant or something? Like, hi, welcome to your new house or whatever. It's just, geez, Louise.
Yeah. And then Meri, God, get Meri again. Jesus, she's saying she's had no relationship for 8 years, but she doesn't know. Oh, God, please put us out of our misery, Meri.
Yeah.
Can't take it anymore.
I remember when the season started and we learned how that they're going to have episodes come out until January. It was like, oh, so exciting. So exciting.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's going to be, you're right. If it's going to be like this.
Yeah. We have got to get more than 10 minutes of new material per episode. This is boring. Mm-hmm. It's like, and that's the thing. We get so excited if there's anything new, even if it's something stupid, because we never, ever, ever get anything new. And it's,
well, yes. And of course the problem is that they're not together. The thing is that most people are boring. Most people, their lives, the daily lives, all that stuff. I don't think that even if we had cameras on them 24/7, that their lives are that interesting. The problem is that what was interesting about this group of people was the family and the family dynamics. And so, yes, if you never seen each other, then everything that's interesting about you isn't happening.
Yeah.
Essentially.
No, it's true.
So, oh God, what are we going to cover?
Oh, well,
we'll find something else, I guess.
Oh, well, don't worry. I think the old episodes are more interesting at this point. We'll go back to our rewind. But so I saw this video came up a couple times on TikTok, and I had to write down. Okay, so Kody does these cameos, and usually they're really short and pretty lame. The ones that I've seen, and anyway, this one, this is great. I had to write down word for word what he said. Okay, so someone asks him to do a cameo for, I don't know, their wife just had a baby or something, to congratulate his wife on their new baby. And I don't know if this person was doing this like seriously or ironically, because I was feeling a lot of people, get these cameos ironically, just to see what he'll say. So anyway, he comes on, he's like, hey, hey, Julie, John told me that you guys just had a new baby and I wanted to say congratulations. And he said, I think you'll find that babies are easy to love. They're sweet and vulnerable and they need you. The real key to parenting is to love your children when they get older, when they get mouthy. But in order to love them, you must never allow them to do anything to you that would make you resent them. So those are the things that would be a challenge. The respect as things progress. What you need to do is make sure you are loving them enough so that they will keep respecting you. But you have to set the boundary for that respect. And then he's like, okay, peace and love, Kody Brown. That's how he always signs off. I was just like, what the hell? This is very, very telling.
Yes. And
this
frightening.
Frightening. This kind of sums up everything we're always talking about. And why would you say this to someone who just had a baby?
But I feel like this is maybe this, I don't know, I don't want to get too into the politics, but it feels like there's more and more of this belief system happening in our world. These sort of very, I don't want to put a religion to it. I don't think there's a kind way of saying that, but it feels like there's so many people that believe exactly what he said. It feels like there's a bit of this, right?
Authoritarian. It's like an authoritarianism. There's groups of people and women supporting it.
Who was it? I just saw a headline that our new Speaker of the House wife is also devoutly religious and Christian. And, probably, I think she would probably go along with something like that too. And so it's frightening. I find it frightening. Like there's groups of people that think all of this is okay.
Yeah.
That's what frightens me.
And it's not just about religion, because that's, when we talk about what's happening in our country and the divide and the two sides, it's people who, on the one hand, you have people who want to keep democracy and democratic principles and, being inclusive and letting people have voices and have a say in things and representative government, all that kind of stuff. And on the other side, there are people who just want an authoritarian. They want an authoritarian leader who will just impose things on people. And they must believe in what the things that person wants to impose upon. But yeah, the mentality, it's not just at a governmental level. I think it's at all levels. I think it's at corporate levels and in the workplace. And, look at all the workers who are having to strike and to get basic workplace, rights, because these employers are just like, no, we can't give you a raise, even though you haven't had one in 10 years. we can't do this for you. We can't do that for you. And if you don't like it, then we don't care.
Yeah, we don't care. There's a bunch of other people right behind you. And yeah, and part of this is, right, our country has been so divided in terms of the haves and have-nots. You know, there's always been, you know, there is no middle class anymore. There's no, you know, that's the problem, is there are 5 or 6 of these billionaires that do run everything, and they can say that. And I guess I just wonder how did we get here, and why do so many people want that? Is it just because it's been hammered into you by your family, your church, the people that you're around, or is it truly that you don't want to have to make decisions?
Yeah,
like, what is up with this?
I think that some people find a comfort in that. They find a comfort because democracy and like, you know, trying to address everybody's wants, needs, concerns, whatever, that's exhausting.
Yeah.
And look, we haven't been very successful at it. But I think it's more comforting to know that, well, this is how it is.
Yeah.
This is how it is. This is the way things work. And I think it penetrates into families, you know, and that same kind of concept. It's like, well, there are no shades of gray. There are no nuance. You know, these are the rules. This is what the rule is in our house, and you've got to do this. And if you don't like it, then tough, because that's a lot easier than having to confront, you know, dealing with a child or an adult child or whatever who you're having problems with. That's really hard.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is. What is wrong with people? Why can't people say, I'm sorry? You know what? I'm sorry that I said that. Or it's just this running from vulnerability, or running from like having to sit with the discomfort of, you know, being wrong, or
doing hard things.
Yeah. Like sitting with facing your racism, your sexism, your all of those things. And you know, this is what Brene Brown talks about. And I love her. And, you know, she talks about people who have this wholehearted life, people who have these lives that are rich and wonderful. They have them because they are able to be vulnerable. They're able to sit with this. And so, yeah, I kept trying to think, like, what is it? Do people just can't, this idea of being vulnerable, like going to your child and saying, I'm sorry. I've apologized to Max many times.
Yeah. It's part of life.
Yeah.
My daughter,
I said, you know what? You're absolutely right, Max. I'm wrong. You're right.
Yeah.
And I give that to you. And I have clients who are shocked to hear that I would do that because their parent would never do that. And I'm like, no, because I treat them like a human being.
Yeah. No, my daughter and I, we apologize to each other all the time. And in fact, we can't stand to be mad at each other for more than like 5 minutes. You know, it's like, you know, you'll get a text or something. It's like, I'm so sorry. You know, it's too much. It's like, no, I don't want you mad, you know?
Yeah.
And you work it out. You work it out. You know, and I also think that, you know, our parents are pretty good at that too. I mean,
they are.
We're hard on them sometimes. And we've confronted them about a lot of stuff. Yes. And they have always been receptive. You know, sometimes they try to defend themselves, you know, but it's never like, you know, how dare you question me, or how dare you talk to me that way? You know, it's always like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because we were talking earlier about how Kody and this idea of reaching out. And if you're not reaching out to me, the relationship isn't happening. And I mean, our father's like that. You worked with him, so you talk to him a lot, but I don't talk to him that much. And it's true. It's like, unless I reach out to him, I will not hear from him. But it's so different than what's going on with Kody, because
but you know, he's not mad at you.
I know he's not mad at me. It's truly like, I've accepted in the last, 20 years of my life that this is who my father is, that this is who he is. These are his limitations. And I choose to focus on what he does really, really well. And so when it's time to talk to him, I'm not mad at him for that I have to get on the phone. And I really do. I have to get on the phone, and then I have to tell him stuff. He doesn't even ask questions, but he always wants to hear. He's like, he wants to hear. He just doesn't think of it. And I think that that's the difference with these things, is that you can have at various times with your adult children different kinds of relationships with them. And if you've built the trust, if you've built all of this, then it's fine.
Mhm.
There's times where I talk to dad a lot, and there's times where I don't. But I don't think anything of it.
Yeah,
and
you're
I don't
sitting
see
here
it as
thinking,
this.
why isn't he calling me? Why isn't he reaching out to me?
Yeah.
It's like, well, he's just on a different, he's on a different wavelength. I don't know.
Or he's not reaching out to me, therefore he does not love me.
Right.
Or he does not care about me, or he doesn't. And it's like, no, I know he loves me. I know he cares about me. I do not doubt that. He loves my child. You know what I mean? Like, I don't worry about any of those things. And so that's the part that's different, is just, I'm not sitting here focused on, it's not conditional, right?
Mhm.
It's like this, a lot of these
Yeah.
people talk about
That's the
unconditional
word.
love,
Yeah.
but
I don't see a lot of that.
there's a lot of people put a lot of conditions. This is why, I know we need to wrap up, but this is why I'll have clients who a pet will pass away and they almost with a lot of shame will be like, I want to talk about it, or this happened to me, and they'll break down. And I'm always like, no, absolutely. We have to talk. Yeah. I give people as much space for a pet or an animal that was important to them as I would for a person. And I always say that this is why, people love animals so much, is it's unconditional love. It is easy. It's the easiest relationship you'll ever have, because your dog does not care how much you weigh or how much you make or what you look like or what you've done or any of that. They love you. And it's very hard for people when you lose that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Yeah. Well,
we covered a lot.
We've said it all.
Yes.
Nothing more to say.
Yes. All right. Let me wrap this up. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still here with us as we
Yes.
went to this
God
new
bless
direction, you are truly a
super
fan and a what's the other word I want to use?
A thoughtful person.
Yes. So on Thursday, we are covering, my mind is like blank right now.
So Thursday we have coming
the Murdaugh. Sorry.
Yeah.
We just did this yesterday.
So season 2 of the Netflix special, the Murdaugh Murders. So that is coming out on Thursday. If you like this podcast, and I think you do because you're still here, please subscribe. Maybe we should say these things in the beginning. I keep mentioning that maybe we should do this in the beginning. And but you know what? Here's the thing. If people are still here, they probably like us, and they're probably more willing to go onto, Apple Podcasts and give us a 5 review. And you know
which we would really appreciate.
We would really appreciate it because
Brooke is constantly looking at those reviews.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, it doesn't take that many, disgruntled people or like 1-star reviews to bring you down, and so it really does help. It really does matter to keep our ratings up so we can keep ourselves relevant in the podcast world. So I'll just ask you a little favor. If you're still here and listening, please just give us, all you have to do is hit the 5-star thing.
Yes.
You don't have to say anything.
We'll just take the 5 stars.
Yes.
Appreciate that. And please subscribe to the podcast. And then finally, if you are on social media, we're at Psychlegal Pop on Instagram and TikTok. So check us out there as well. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much. Until next time.
See ya. Bye.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
With almost 500,000 customers and over $1 trillion of secure payments, Bill isn't new to intelligent finance. It's the proven way to simplify bill pay and maximize cash flow. Want to learn more? Visit Bill.com/proven for a special offer.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love, with no artificial sweeteners, only 30 calories, just 5 grams of sugar, and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. That great Pepsi taste with even more to love. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.